Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to In the Now with Simone Jennifer Smith. Now, if you are living in Toronto, it is messy outside. It's wet and damp, but it could be a lot worse. It could be winter. It could be snowing. Well, it is winter, but it could be snowing, which would be a whole lot worse. So I'm thankful that it is rain. I'm in like a dress today, so it's actually okay. So I didn't even wear a jacket. That's how nice it is outside. So although it's messy and muggy and nasty, sort of, still better than how it could be. So, for us in Toronto, drive safe. The weather's not great. Drive safe and get to where you need to safely. Today, we have a little bit of an interesting show today. I wanted to combine a couple of different topics because I want to make sure I'm getting out even more to you. The first topic we're going to talk about is cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is something, the most popular one that you guys probably have heard about is Bitcoin. But, of course, we want to bring information from all over the world. So, I visited Venezuela, not personally, but through the internet, and found out that Venezuela has now come up with their own cryptocurrency, and it's called Petro. So I wanted to share a little bit about it. So let's first take a look at who it is. My very first picture, President Nicolas Maduro, which I'm hoping I said right. He is the president of Venezuela currently. And this is happening where all of this kind of took place was in Caracas, Venezuela. And that's in my next picture. If you could show them for me, Jordan. It's at the very top of Venezuela there. Now, what is cryptocurrency? So I actually have a flow diagram that you guys can take a look at as I'm sort of talking about it so you have a better idea. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency where encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify that transfer of funds operating independently of a central bank. To make all of that was like the Webster Dictionary definition of it. But to make that very simple, this is basically money that is transferred online. It's all digital. It's digital money. So it's not actual paper money. And this money is, of course, traded online, and you're not going to find it at a central bank. So you can't go to a central bank and ask for a Bitcoin. It's something that you'd have to do online, okay? So I'm gonna actually, that was just the definition. Now I'll put up the flow chart for you so you can have a better understanding of what it looks like. We'll leave this here for a second. So currently there are over 1,300 cryptocurrencies, and the list is growing because it can be created at any time. In terms of market capitalization, Bitcoin, what started it all, they're the one who started it all, has the biggest market cap value at over $16 billion as of February 22nd. So these are very recent statistics, 2018. The cryptocurrency created in Venezuela, as I mentioned earlier, is called Petro and is the first cryptocurrency launched by a government in Venezuela. Actually, by a government, period. So this is the only country right now that has a government standing behind cryptocurrency. So that's kind of interesting in itself. So on Tuesday, February the 20th, 2018, the government of Caracas confirmed that Venezuela had started a pre-sale of 38.4 million Petro digital units, which can be carried out from February 20th to March 19th. So they've already started pre-sale of this Petro is what it's called. And I have a really short clip for you that talks about how it was unveiled. So take a look and let me know what you think.
New superhero, not President Nicolas Maduro, but the Petro he hopes will win an epic battle, the economy.
Today, a cryptocurrency is being born that can take on Superman, the Petro. Not even Superman can take on our cryptocurrency.
This, in fact, the launch of a guide to its virtual wallet. The Petro itself goes public next month. One Petro to be worth 1 barrel of crude from this oil-rich state. The hope that if commodities, rather than politics, back the currency, it'll be a winner, helped by hype around Bitcoin and other virtual money.
For Venezuela, they know that this is really a hot topic.
So that just gives you an idea of the unveiling, and you can see already what a big deal this is. Again, this is the very first cryptocurrency that's backed by government. So that's obviously going to raise a couple of heads, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So President Nicolas Maduro has said that each coin, and this is going to be the part that is the most interesting, will be backed by a barrel of Venezuelan crude priced at $60 per barrel. Okay, so this is going to be the first cryptocurrency actually backed by oil. All right. The government plans on circulating around 100 million petro coins, which it hopes will raise around $6 billion for the country. So, a private pre-sale, which I mentioned earlier, of 38.4 million units of the petro was launched on Tuesday, sold with an initial value set at $60 based on the price of the barrel of Venezuelan crude oil. Now, investors were offered this price at a discounted rate that they can exchange for petros during what is called the initial coin offering, an ICO, on March 20th, 2018. The government plans to sell an additional 44 million units of this digital currency at the time, with per unit prices set to fluctuate based, of course, on oil, because oil is always fluctuating. At this time, people can buy petros from anyone who's actually obtained an ICO. So they've made it available to certain people, but of course, if you want to buy from them, you can. Now, I have another picture here which talks about the barrels of crude oil sold will come from a specific division in the country's Orinoco oil. So I found out, which I didn't know, that Venezuela has the most oil per capita in the world. So they have a lot of oil, which is why they're able to back their cryptocurrency with oil. They launched this currency in order to bypass strict economic sanctions imposed by the US, of course, and the EU due to their opposition to its autocratic government. So there's some people who don't necessarily like, and of course, America's right there. They don't really appreciate this. I wonder why, but we'll talk about in a minute. So 44 Venezuelans have now been sanctioned by the United States government, including Mr. Maduro himself, whom the Trump administration has branded a dictator. So of course now, when America wants something from somewhere, they're always going to call someone a dictator. And we all know this, of course, from Saddam Hussein, who turned out to, they said was a dictator. Oh my goodness. See, this is where Dave comes in. Girl, I'm going to test you. Chelsea's here today standing in. She's my intern. The gentleman, thank you. On it. Gaddafi, thank you very much. Very much, my team. Thank you, Jordan, back there to help me with that. He was also seen as a dictator, and they got rid of him. Anyone who's trying to do something different that opposes the American government, they're considered dictators. The United States last sanctioned 10 officials, including several government ministers. The Trump administration also has barred Americans from holding new Venezuelan government bonds. So there's a whole bunch of sanctions now happening because of this cryptocurrency. Mr. Maduro has dismissed the sanctions, of course, as meddling from the United States of America, which I agree with them. They're meddling again. This has nothing to do with them. If they want to back their stuff by oil, they can. But of course, there's drama. So let's go into this drama and we can finish this up before we go into our next segment. So the drama. Critics are saying that this is a desperate attempt by Caracas, which is the largest city in Venezuela, to raise cash at a time when Venezuela is unable to repay the debt that they owe, the foreign debt they owe. Opposition leaders are saying that the sale of cryptocurrency is equivalent to an illegal issuing of debit. So they're saying that you can't even do this. Like they're calling it illegal. Venezuelans' opposition-led National Assembly has called the project illegal. So there's actual people in Venezuela who don't agree with this either. And they're arguing that oil assets cannot by law be sold, and that the currency is a form of debt that has to be approved by the legislature, an institution Maduro has been said to ignore for years. I love the fact that he just ignores and does what he wants. That's hilarious. So the government hopes that backing a currency with a commodity on an open source platform will foster trust and transparency. Now, this is said by a market analyst at social trading network eToro. His name is Matty Greenspan. And of course, we have other critics who are saying that the project doesn't make technical sense because the government will have too much space to manipulate the coin. So I have some thoughts and questions for you to think about this subject. And of course, comment below, like, subscribe, and share if this is something you know is of interest to you. And the questions are, and this is my next picture, and of course I'm going to put them up so you can write, I know you're not going to write them down, but at least take a look at them and think about them. What could this mean for other countries such as Russia, Moscow, who also faces U.S. sanctions, if Venezuela is successful in establishing the petro as a form of currency in its country? The pictures are there. I think it's number 7. There. Yes, the next one. So this is what's going on. There's a food shortage, by the way, too, in Venezuela, which is why this is so important for them. The second thing to consider is that the Russian officials have already begun talking about creating its own cryptocurrency, crypto-ruble. What do you think that could mean for other cryptocurrencies? So there's a lot to think about. When we come back, we're going to take a look at another really interesting thing, and of course it's Black History Month, so this is a good time to bring it up. I'll see you guys soon.
We are doing this event for the community. But what if CEO actually stood for catching every opportunity? This week alone, I've seen 3 businesses that shut their doors in this community.
Investing in yourself, like you have to know what your brand is first. So there's no other way that you're going to build a brand unless you network. You have to eventually get out there.
And it stems down to a lot of times not having the right knowledge, the right know-how.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to In the Now. If you're just joining us right now, our last segment, actually, I spent that time talking about cryptocurrency. Again, for most people who don't know, cryptocurrency is online, basically online money is what it is. And the one that you guys have probably most heard about is Bitcoin. If you're interested in the topic and you're just joining us now, you can go back to the last segment. And I actually put up a flow chart that shows how that works. For some people, they don't even understand how it works. So, of course, it can be an interest. It may not be. But for Venezuela, I actually spoke about the fact that they have a Bitcoin. Look at that. They have a coin now, but it's not Bitcoin. It's called Petro, which is their own cryptocurrency, and it's actually backed by oil. So America's not very happy about it. I'm sure they're going to try to assassinate this guy if they can. But, you know, that's just me talking. Anyhow, of course, I want to get cut off again like I did last week. It's quite fantastic. So with it being Black History Month, I thought the next topic was really interesting because this is my last show before the month is over. And I think it's been a pretty good month this month. We had, obviously, Black Panther, which I'm going to speak about in the next segment. And we had a lot of events happening here in Toronto. And it's you know what, I think people are starting to appreciate African History Month, the month that they give us for what it is. And I saw this article actually last week, and I saw a video on it, and I thought I'd present it to you guys just to get an objective thought on what you guys think about this. So there's a plantation that has been resurrected. It's called the Whitney Plantation, and it's the America's first and only slave museum. Now, I've been that person who said that I would like to move away from slavery when we speak about African history. And I spoke with someone about this the other day, and they said, you know what, Simone, it is important to talk about it because with me being in mental health, I understand that a lot of the transgenerational trauma that we are dealing with right now comes from slavery. A lot of our ancestors, for us who are here, we are the descendants of the ancestors who made it and who did not die. We are the ones who are left over. And a lot of the trauma they've dealt with, we still do. So it is important to understand. And interestingly enough, the Whitney Plantation, originally known as the Habitation Hato, which was previously owned by German immigrants, is the first and only museum in America to focus solely on slavery. Now, this next video is about 2.5 minutes long, but the reason I want to show it because I want to show you who's actually put this together. And again, leave your comments and thoughts below.
They still might be forgotten if it weren't for this man, John Cummings, owner of Whitney Plantation.
What we wanted to do here was to educate mostly people with my color skin on the facts of slavery, the horrific facts of slavery.
Yet that's not why he bought the plantation 16 years ago. This successful New Orleans trial attorney bought it as a real estate investment. At the act of sale, he was surprisingly handed an 8-volume study on the property's history and significance. That study was commissioned in the 90s when a chemical company wanted to build a new plant on these grounds. Environmentalists and preservationists protested so much, the company sold it. After he bought it, John read that historical study. It was a history he'd never been told.
And during that year, I started to read it. Being a lawyer, I was interested in successions, interested in the paperwork. Every succession had an inventory of all of the assets here. And slaves were the second to most valuable asset here, slaves.
The slaves' names, ages, job skills, and purchase price on the auction block were listed for tax purposes.
This is a big black buck Negro. He's stout as a mule and good for any kind of work. And he'll never give you any trouble. How much can I offer for him?
Sold for $2,700. Anderson, the #1 bricklayer and mason.
And I saw that there was a woman who was worth maybe twice as much as any other female slave. And although many of the slaves were described as coopers, they made barrels, all the sugar was shipped out in barrels, they made barrels. Or a cart man, he was a guy that had the oxen and would walk with the carts, the sugar cane be thrown in there. All of those things. We got to this woman. She was a good breeder. Good breeder. I think she had 9 children in the last 11 years.
A human being bought to breed. That inhumanity stirred something deep in John.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children.
How much am I offering for her?
316. Sold for $1,500. Louisa, age 24.
The reason that it's shocking me is it was never in my education. And I look around at all of the other Caucasians and I'm thinking, I just can't do this.
So, of course, I'm going to want you guys to comment on this, what your thoughts are. But let's go through some information first so you guys have an understanding about why this gentleman did it. He kind of explains it, but let's go through a little bit. So let me show you the grounds. I have a picture of the grounds, which I want you to take a look. So that is the actual plantation. A lot of this stuff was brought in from other places, and I'm going to go through it. This is a lot of pictures, but I want you guys to understand and kind of go through this experience with me. So who is this gentleman? His name is John Cummings. That's the very next picture I have of this man. And John Cummings, he bought the plantation in 1998. Now, on the surface, and I picked this picture on purpose. On the surface, Cummings seems like an unlikely crusader on the subject of slavery. He's white and he's wealthy, and he is neither a historian nor a museum professional. He's actually a retired trial lawyer and a real estate developer. So he has spent more than $8 million of his own money restoring and renovating this plantation. Why, right? Why is he doing this? His goal is to have visitors reflect on the history that occurred on the plantation. He stated, when you leave here, you're not going to be the same person you were when you came in. He is aware that people question his motives. One question he's been asked is if he's using slavery to make money, and his answer was no. So you can give your thoughts on it. That was cool what you just did. I just flipped out. That was pretty cool. So Through museum exhibits, sorry, small things make me happy, guys, really. Through museum exhibits, memorial artwork, and restored buildings, and hundreds of first-person slave narratives, visitors to Whitney will gain a unique perspective on the lives of Louisiana's enslaved people. So I'm going to be going through a few pictures here. My next picture is actually the Wall of Honor, and it's a memorial dedicated to all the people who were enslaved on Whitney's plantation. So he's actually, and he did all of this. He paid for all of this to get done, okay? My next picture is, in order to stick to this mission, he moved 19th century buildings from various locations. Like I said, a lot of this stuff has been brought in, and I'm going to explain what this is, so leave this one up, Jordan. To the Whitney plantation, such as a slave cabin, a steel jail, which is what you're looking at right now. So anyone who's been to Louisiana knows that it is hot. And anyone who knows about conductors and conductor and convector, is that what it is? And insulator, conductor and insulator. Metal is a conductor of heat and energy. So imagine being locked up in these for hours, sometimes even days. Another picture I have is of the slave cabins. He also brought this in. And after this one, I'm going to show you very briefly the picture of a church. Although not being original to the Whitney plantation, the structure was erected after the Civil War in Paulina on the east bank of the Mississippi River. So you have to understand, this man is paying a lot of money to get a lot of this stuff shipped in. My next little picture is actually in the church, and there's two of them. The Children of Whitney. It's a series of sculptures by Ohio-based artist Woodrow Natch, which represents the formal slaves as they were at the time of the emancipation. Okay, so that's another picture of him there. And then there's one more. And when I come back, I'll show you a couple more visuals of this place. I think it's like the artwork itself, I think is amazing. But again, is this controversial? Is this something, should it be him doing something like this? Are we offended because someone who's white is doing something like this? Or should we be happy that finally someone's starting to understand who we are and what we've gone through? So just some questions to think about. And when I come back, we'll do a little bit more on the Whitney plantation. I'll see you guys soon.
We are doing this event for the community. But what if CEO actually stood for catching every opportunity? This week alone, I've seen 3 businesses that shut their doors in this community.
Investing in yourself, like you have to know what your brand is first. So there's no other way that you're going to build a brand unless you network. You have to eventually get out there.
And it stems down to a lot of times not having the right knowledge, the right know-how.
So, if you're just joining us, let's see what we covered in the first half of In the Now with Simone Jennifer Smith. So, first half, we talked about cryptocurrency, and we talked about how Venezuela now has their very first cryptocurrency, which is backed by oil. It's called the Petro. So, go back to the very first segment, which is the first 10 minutes. You can watch that. And my second segment, we began talking about the Whitney plantation, which was resurrected by John Cummings. And if you're just joining us, you missed the video, so I'll definitely go back and check that out because he had some interesting things to say as to why he did it. And he also had some interesting history on the plantation. So we were talking about the fact that he's brought in a lot of structures from other places, and he's using them. He spent about $8 million putting this place together. And he's said, of course, that a lot of people have opposed him. You know, he has a lot of supporters, but he has a lot of opposers as well. So we were talking, oh, we were showing the children of Whitney, but we're going to move on from that. So my next picture is the Field of Angels, and it's picture 16, I believe, Jordan, because I should have cued you before and I didn't. So the Field of Angels, what is the Field of Angels? This is a section of the Slave Memorial dedicated, that's it, I think it's absolutely beautiful, great artwork, dedicated to 220,000 Louisiana slave children who died before their 3rd birthday. So he's really gone in. He has done his research. Now, of course, he didn't do it alone. So I'm going to introduce to you Ibrahima Seck, which is the next photo I have. And he's a scholar. Yep, that's him. He's a scholar from Senegal. And he is the academic director of the Slavery Museum at the Whitney Plantation. So he actually traced things back to Africa, and it even was able to explain how some of the people who are in those records shown got to where they are. So I think that was pretty interesting as well. So he is Mr. Seck is a big part of this as well. He does all of the academics. He makes sure he verifies all the history. He's gone through all the paperwork. They're doing it, Jordan. I like it. I like it a lot. So where is this happening? For those who are ever thinking about visiting, I'm actually thinking if I ever get a chance to go to Louisiana, I think I want to visit this place. So let me give you some information on it. So this is in Wallace, Louisiana, and the plantation lies between the Great River Road. No, sorry, it lies on the Great River Road between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Okay, so it actually got erected in December 2014. They actually opened their doors to Stop cutting me. Stop it, okay? I'm just trying to get facts out. Stop this. Stop it, Facebook. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Stop it, internet. Stop cutting me off, okay? I'm just sharing information. So, we're going to move forward. But you can visit the first half, which is there, that talks about the things I was talking about. Because I want to say something and get cut again. I don't even know what I said. But anyway, so we're going to move on to something beautiful and lovely. I'm going to move on to a video. I want you guys to see this, and then I'm going to talk about it. But I think it is one of the most... Oh, I was supposed to bring the name of it. Let me see if I can pronounce it. But anyhow, these are the colored mountains in China. I've never seen this before. And when it was sent to me, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. Take a look and tell me what you think. Colored mountains of China. Welcome back, guys. So I don't know if you saw, so I was just, again, so I like to conversate with my team back here, but that is they're one of the wonders of the world, and it's known as the Rainbow Mountains of China. Now, it's considered a geological wonder of the world, and it's known for its otherworldly colors. Like, this thing is just, absolutely beautiful. Like, it almost looks photoshopped, so I would love to see this in real life. So the site was named a UNESCO, which stands for United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, World Heritage Site in 2009. So they actually named this a site in 2009. And this is located, you know what's funny? I was pronouncing this earlier. I even listened to it. I'm going to try it because I'm going to mess it up. But I'm going to put it up so you guys can see the name of it. It's actually in a geological park in China. I'm not going to attempt the name. And it's located in the Noso province of China's northwest, covering 200 square miles. So these are sandstones and slitstones that were deposited before the Himalayan mountains were even formed. So this we're going back hundreds of thousands of years. The sand and slit was deposited and with iron and trace minerals that provided with that key ingredient to make all those colors. Now, the mountain was once layered horizontally, and it was disrupted by the Indian plate colliding into the Eurasian plate. So when all those plates were colliding, that's when this started to actually be formed. That was about 55 million years ago. So think of when two cars get into an accident and then the bumpers fold. That's what was happening when the plates were folding, and that's how these striations and the colors were actually formed. So this is what causes all that striking color. So it's one of those things where, you know what, if you ever have a chance, if you ever visit China, should I even try to pronounce this? No, I'm not going to. Visit this place, okay? It's absolutely beautiful. And I wanted to share that because I thought it was really cool. So now I'm going to go into what is huge this month. Black Panther. That's my next picture. Black Panther. And what I actually did is pulled up all of the actors in that movie. Yes, this is everyone who acted in that movie. Now, let me give you the latest statistics on Black Panther. You guys are going to find this amazing. Black Panther tops lifetime gross of Marvel, DC, and X-Men movies with the worldwide box office figure sitting at $462.3 million as of February 21st. Like, that is ridiculous how much money they've made with this movie. So they're saying that Black Panther will climb much higher on its way to a stateside total sure to exceed way over 400 million and possibly as high as 440 million domestically. So this is like, we're talking worldwide now, not just only in North America, right? So with 263.1 million in just the first 5 days, the Chadwick Boseman, who is the main actor, Michael B. Jordan, oh my God, Lupita, I can't say her name, Nyong'o, I believe, beautiful young lady. Thank you. Put those back up there. Thanks so much. And Letitia Wright, their blockbuster has topped the likes of, and listen to what they've actually surpassed. So they've surpassed Men in Black, which in 1997 brought in $250 million. Batman, $251 million, and this was in 1989, okay? Captain America, The Winter Soldier, $259 million, that's in 2014. The Incredibles, $262 million in 2004, and finally, The Amazing Spider-Man, $262 million in 2012. By Sunday, it will leap into at least the top 12 of all-time superhero grosses in North America, if not higher, and a worldwide tally approaching $600 million. So, you know what? It's interesting with this movie because I've heard positives and cons to this. I hear a lot of people were obviously very happy. People went to the theater dressed up to the nines. There's some people who are just like, really, like, we're not getting any of this money, so stop talking. Some people are like, if you're paying your phone bill, you're paying it to the white man still, so it doesn't matter who you're paying it to. There's all this controversy floating. I say this, it was a good movie. When I come back, we'll talk about what's happening in Toronto this week. See you guys soon.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to In the Now with Simone Jennifer Smith. I am... Chelsea, come here. I'm gonna put her on blast. So this is my intern, Chelsea. I'm gonna have her come introduce herself. She came all the way from Montreal this week. Come and say hi. Come and say hi to everybody. Say hi, Chelsea.
Hi.
Tell them what school you represent. Go ahead.
I'm actually representing Carleton in Ottawa.
Yay! So she today is here doing my Instagram. So all that stuff is Chelsea. Thank you, darling. I really appreciate you. I had to introduce her. Appreciate you, girl. And she's here making noise with the phone, so I had to call her out. All right, so let's talk about Toronto. Toronto, stand up. This has been a great month for us. And to end the month up, this weekend is going to be filled with activities. So I'm going to take the time today to talk about some of the events that are going on. And in doing so, I want to say this to anyone out there who's having events. Please reach out to me. We have advertising opportunities where I can talk about your event like I'm doing today on the show. I've even had times where I bring people in and they talk about their event. So if you're interested in doing something like that, again, you can inbox me at simone@carib101.com, or you can just leave a comment below in the YouTube page and I will get back to you and we can discuss on how we can get your event out, because obviously anything more about that you can add to your event or put out up to your event. I especially like people coming in and talking about their event, because no one knows their event better than them, and they can discuss why they're excited, why they're doing it. So one of the things I do want to talk about is, and it's my next picture, Mr. Jordan. I went to this event last night. You guys can't see this, but he's going to put up a big one. Yes, Street Checks. And this was held by Victor Beausoleil and Shayna Lynn. And Shayna Lynn, you know, I just realized I didn't even get your last name. Terrible at me. I should have. And they're partners at Intuit Consulting. And this Street Checks is actually a review about carding. So Justice Michael H. Tuluch is reviewing Ontario's laws on police street checks, a practice sometimes referred to as carding. By January 2019, Justice Tuluch will be making recommendations to the government about those laws and their implementation. To inform those recommendations, Justice Tuluch has his team would like to hear from as many individuals as possible. So what Victor and Shayna Lynn are doing is they have put on an event. The last night I went to the event at the Jamaican Canadian Association, and that was at 995 Arrow Road in North York. And it was from 6 to 8. I couldn't stay the whole time. But when I got there, they had just finished speaking, and the event was actually packed. I was very happy to see that, because the community came out and they wanted to voice their opinion on carding. They also had food. They had some jerk chicken. Yeah, of course, leave it to me to talk about my belly. But regardless, they had food there, which was nice. So everyone was fed, and there were about, I'm going to say maybe about 20 tables or so. And when I got there, they were actually in the middle of discussion within the groups. There was a person who was facilitating each group, but they were talking about carding and how it has affected them, what can be changed, what can be done. So there's going to be actually 2 more meetups. So let's talk about those. There's going to be one on Wednesday, February 28th, and that's going to be at the Toronto Reference Library. That's Beaton Hall, 789 Yonge Street, from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. again. And then there is going to be one more, and this is going to be in Scarborough. So they actually went like west, mid, and then like east. So they went to Tropicana Community Center, and that's 1385 Huntington Road Drive. And that's on Tuesday, March the 6th, from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. A light dinner will be served at each. You'll get to sample some of the jerk chicken and the fried chicken and, if you're hungry. If you want some more information on this, you can go to www.streetchecksreview.ca, and to RSVP or to request accessibility accommodations, please email info@streetchecksreview.ca. They have a Facebook page, they have an Instagram page, they have a Twitter page, and they have a LinkedIn page. So you can find out more what's happening there. I like the fact that I guess they were out there, like people were like together and communicating and getting their ideas out, and the energy was fantastic. And I got to meet some people, and of course Miss Elaine Robbins was there. All the key people in the community were there last night, so that was really, really good to see. All right, so what's going on? What else is going on in Toronto this weekend? Let's talk about party. Actually, we're not going to go to the party yet. Let's go to our last huge African history event. So this is going to be on, and this is the African Liberation fundraiser. This is the very next picture, Jordan. It is a night of African Liberation fundraiser featuring, and we're going to go through this, Exo Levy, 5-time Juno Award winner, Lady Locks, spoken word, David Hollywood, our next rising star, Brother Sankofa, who is responsible for a lot of this as well, and he's a dub poet and MC for the event, Richie Flo, he's another reggae artist here in Toronto, and Peculiar, another dub poet. So if you have nothing to do Saturday night, I would definitely say if you're into the arts, if you're into poetry, obviously if you love reggae, we all know Exo Levy, he's doing big things. Saturday night, February 24th, $15 advance, $20 at the door. The doors open at 8 o'clock and showtime is at 9. The music is going to be by DJ Hero, Compact Sound, and it's going to be at the Golden Stool Restaurant located 21 Nelson Street, West, Brampton, facing George Street, opposite the LCBO. Thank you for that, guys. Like, you know what? Sometimes it's better to leave a landmark instead of trying to find streets. So if you see the LCBO, it's on the other side, okay? All the proceeds towards expenses for the upcoming Haitian Educational and Humanitarian Tour. So Brother Sankofa does a lot of work in Haiti, actually. He does Haiti drives, and he's continued the work. A lot of people think that the work in Haiti is just, like, after the earthquake, that, you know, everything is just okay. They're still dealing with a lot of devastation, and Mr. Sankofa is out there doing his due. So we thank you, brother. We thank you, King, for doing what you need to do. Now let's do some jump up. Next, the touchdown. So I had to curse this young man out. So anyone who knows anything about soca knows the Enforcers. Yes, they just came back from Trinidad Carnival, and I had to curse because every single time he took a picture, he had to make sure that I was in it, or no, that he tagged me in it so I could see him having fun. And I just had to curse him out. But then he's like, you know what, Simone, this is an event. I'd love for you to come. So, soca heads, calypso heads, anyone out there who's really about their soca, come to Touchdown. Touchdown is going to be at, let's see. Oh, Rum Diaries. This is in Ajax. Another thing, this is a far drive, brethren. Like, Ajax? Really? I guess for those who live on the east end, it doesn't matter. But this Saturday, Cure Your Carnival Tabanca. What does that word even mean, Ed? Let's talk about it. And relive Trinidad Carnival in the cold. Really? I guess it'll be hot in there. So I guess that's okay. But that's going to be happening on Saturday night. You know what, guys? I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to encourage you to share the information that you find relevant. I want to thank you to those who continue to send me information, because you do, and I appreciate it. A lot of the... Chelsea, what's happening, bro? What's happening? A lot of the information that comes in is from you guys, and I appreciate you guys for giving me this info because it makes my life easier. It makes Francis, I appreciate you. She does a lot of my information gathering and research. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. I will see you next week. I don't know. What else did I say after this?
Well, also, Tabanca means when you're sad.
Oh, it means when you're sad? Tabanca means when you're sad. I didn't know that. See? Don't be Tabanca. Have a really good day. Bye, guys.